Hello, my name is Lila Pigliafiori. My maiden name was Baker. I'm Aboriginal through my mother's heritage, and I'm also Torres Strait Islander from my father's side, and my dad comes from Darnley Island. For me, on that day when I watched the apology, I don't think too much went through my mind, except that I thought it was really nice to hear that, you know, somebody with so much power could get up there and finally make an apology to all Aboriginal people of Australia. I was able to sort of reflect back and think about my grandmother and her brothers and her sisters. A lot of the history that we know today, or I know today as a young person, is just something that I've had to read in books or listen to my mother pass on to me as best she could. We know for a fact that, like, her mum and all her brothers and sisters, they were removed from under the Act. And I actually sat with mum last night and I talked to her and I said, you know, what did that mean? Did that mean they could live like the white man? And she said to me, no, it just meant they had a little bit more freedom to move around. And mum actually used to go with her grandmother and watch her go and report every day to the police station and give her thumbprint. It was just shocking. She had to record in a little book where she had to go and what she had to do that day. So if you call that freedom, no. So when I thought about the apology that day and I looked at it, I thought, you know, freedom is so limited, and it was limited to us as Aboriginal people. For me, it's very difficult to trace back my family line and to be accepted by people where my grandparents had grown. They were born up around Burketown, and we can trace that back, but to be accepted is a very difficult thing. So you see, while we hear an apology from the Prime Minister, he's one man standing there giving an apology. I think within our own races and among our own people, we all need to start reconciling too, and getting together and accepting that I'll never ever know what my right was as a young girl or a woman with my people, because that was taken away from us. I mean, we can only move on from here and move forward, and you know, my journey is to let my children know and never feel shame, because the shame is not on us. We shouldn't be shamed to be Aboriginal. We need to let them know that the shame rests with the past governments and parliaments that removed a culture that we had that was so strong. And I think the saddest thing too is that we don't have a language. We've lost our language. And you know, I look at all these other cultures. You can see the Chinese and the Germans, and they have their language. We don't have one. It was taken away from us. So we will never ever know. For me, 12 months on, I think, well, has it changed and is it going to change? And quite honestly, I'm not feeling too positive about the future. You know, it's important for us to take our stand, and while we may be a minority group in Australia today, we are still the landowners of this country.
Paddy Lee's from Mount Isa. I've been here about 32 years. I'm considered transplant. Yeah, I'm not. You've got to actually be born here sometimes before you're accepted. But my original thing is on the coast. My mother's a Torres Strait Islander, Murray Islander. My father's an Irishman, so I'm just happy to be me, I think. I was actually invited to down to Canberra, one of the hundreds. I rang up and said, would you like that? And I declined, which was a bit of a shock to them. And I said, no, I just wanted to offer some solidarity with a lot of people I know that were similarly involved in that way. So anyway, I ended up in a sick bed in this motel and turned the TV and then I got a little bit emotional, well, not a bit emotional, but really emotional, because I was thinking about my mother. And all the other mothers and the people that have since gone on, and what would an apology mean to them? You know, could you go to the graveside and take that there? Could it bring back that loss? Would it restore the loss to me? And I got myself into quite a lather, actually. I was really surprised. Then I had the regret of saying, well, maybe I should have been there, because the kids would have liked to be able to say, well, Mum got invited and she was there, but it really wasn't. You know, I just didn't feel strong enough or comfortable enough. So I was thinking of Mum, and I was thinking about the symbolic and the reasons why I rejected the invitation, and thinking, where was Kevin Rudd's apology going to? Who was he apologising on behalf? Because I read the papers about there was a bit of a argument getting consensus from the coalition. I mean, when they were in opposition, when they were in government, they, as I said, they couldn't get it right. So they come to, it wasn't a real bipartisan support for the apology. Has it made a difference? I think we still need to go out and test it in the broader community. And I don't think myself, it's my own personal view, it's made one eye. I don't think it's improved race relations in this country and things like that. We weren't responsible for what happened back there, but we are responsible for the future. And even just yesterday, when I came home, my little granddaughter's sitting up on my lap, and she had a beautiful T-shirt on, which made me really, she had a little T-shirt on that said, "Save the future for me." Isn't that what it's all about?
Barry Lee, originally from Hervey Bay, but up here around Isa. Currently working at Mob FM here on radio as the production manager. We did a live broadcast from just here. We had a barbecue and invited some of the members from the public just to come in and listen. And it was, although I was cooking the barbecue, it was quite an emotional day for a lot of people. Having not been affected personally, but obviously some family members had been. And not really knowing that much about it. I think it was an important thing to do. More so in the fact of not actually apologising on behalf of himself or on behalf of Kevin Rudd as a person, but more so just acknowledging that these things did happen, and the effects, are still obviously are affecting people today. A lot of people reflected upon it as they thought they had to personally apologise for those atrocities that happened. I think it was not really explained well, but not really taken on board by a lot of people. Within the radio, we haven't actually. Well, I think it's too close to the heart for many people to actually get them on the radio to talk about that. And we wouldn't want to put people that were personally affected by it in that predicament. So it obviously brings up a lot of bad memories for them. And I think a lot of people. When they were listening to the apology, there were a lot of tears and emotions and stuff, but in some cases, they were tears of joy that finally they could go forward. It was just the fact that, okay, we've acknowledged that these things have happened, and now, certain things, we'll try to put certain things in place so that we can go forward. How they've gone, from my personal view, I don't think they've really done much in the last 12 months. Hopefully they will in the next 12 though.